So I've been running my own candle business for the last 6 years, and there are definitely things that I think are amazing about having a candle business and things that are not so amazing about running a candle business. So that is what I want to dive into today's video in case anybody is looking to start a candle business either at the end of this year of 2026 or if you're looking at the beginning of 2027. These are just my thoughts on the best and the worst parts of running your own candle business. So let's dive into the first thing that I think is really great about running a candle business, and that's the fact that it is a very easily explainable and identifiable product. Everybody knows what a candle is. Even if you have a candle that's maybe a little bit different, like a wickless candle, pretty easy to explain still. If you have a pillar type candle, people know what candles are. And it doesn't take any additional education or marketing to be able to say exactly what it is. So that is a really big beneficial part of running a candle business, because there's a lot of companies out there that are creating something maybe a little bit different, a little bit more unique. Maybe it's a completely new product, and they have to spend a lot of time to educate the customer on what exactly it is, versus people know exactly what a candle is, what it's for, and why they would want to buy it. Reason number two is that you can actually have pretty good margins with a candle business, and that's because you can charge a good amount for candles, even if the cost for you to manufacture it is only around like $5 or $6 for the candle. But if you have a really strong perceived brand value, then you are able to charge anywhere between 30, 35, 40, sometimes even higher for candles, depending on the size and again, depending on that perceived value. But that is a really great thing about candles, is that there's so many different types of supplies that you can use and so many different ways that you can design it, different jars. There's so much creativity that goes into it that you can choose different things that will make your brand stand out more and make it to where people will feel like they are truly getting the value for that higher price point if you're choosing to charge a little bit higher for your candles so that you can make more per sale. The third one is kind of bouncing off the last point, but it's the fact that candles are very brandable. There are so many different things you can do with a candle business. It's actually crazy how much of a creative, like we have just this broad creativity amongst a candle business, and you can do so much with it. There are so many different niches, so many different themes, so many different styles and ways that you can go about creating your business. The fragrance names, the fragrances that you choose, just different things that you can do to really stand out in your candle business, because you really don't have to feel like you just have to copy somebody else or just do what somebody else is doing because it's working for them. Everybody has a way to stand out in the industry if you are really understanding who your target demographic is and how to create a product specifically for them. That's really how you're going to stand out. But again, there are like endless types of niches and themes and target demographics and fragrance options. I mean, the list goes on and on. There is no shortage of the way that you are able to create and put together your candle business. And I know that can be actually both a good thing and a bad thing, because it's something that you are excited about and something that you have that creative freedom for, but then it's also kind of that analysis paralysis, like where do I even start? How do I even go about doing this or putting it together? What's the right thing to do? All those things that come to our mind. But it is a really great part of the candle business because there's no shortage of creativity or different avenues that you can take with the business. The fourth thing, and I love this part of the business, is that it is a consumable product and repeat purchases can happen naturally without you even having to, reach back out to the customer or really have a bunch of things set up. Of course, it's always good to have things set up on the back end in terms of automation, but most of the time, our repeat customers will just come and just continuously buy from us every couple months. Sometimes people will stock up on 2 or 3 candles at a time. Sometimes they're purchasing, just one candle at a time. It really just depends on the person. But if they find a scent that they really love, people will keep coming back to you over and over and over again because they know that they love your specific candle and they want to keep coming back. And because it is a consumable product, they will eventually keep coming back. Again, whether that takes a couple weeks, a couple months. Sometimes we have people that purchase from us, only like once a quarter. So it really just depends on the person, but eventually they will keep coming back to you if they love the product that you have. And then the 5th best thing about running a candle business is that you have so many different ways of making money. You have one product, but so many different avenues to actually make money from that product. You can do regular direct to consumer, whether that's online through your online website. You can also get into places like Amazon or Walmart if that is something that you are wanting to do, and be able to sell through those platforms. You can also get onto platforms like Etsy and sell through there. You can also do local markets and farmers markets. You can also branch out and sell bulk orders to, let's say, corporate gifting, those gift boxes, those gift box companies where people are looking to just buy a bunch of different ones. We're in a lot of those through Faire. And again, that's another one, is wholesale through Faire, whether through Faire or on your own platform. You can do something that will give you a more reoccurring monthly revenue, like a subscription box. There are so many options. You can do seasonal drops, something that you can just put together as your own gifting on your website. So put together your own gift boxes. I mean, the options for a candle business is seriously endless. It feels like you can do in-person workshops, which is what we do a lot. You can have people hire you so you can go over there and do the workshops. You can put on your own events. You can turn it into an experience because it is definitely an experience for people to make their own candle. But it just is so cool to see that something as simple as a candle can be diversified in so many ways, because you really do want to try to diversify your income if you can with your candle business. Instead of just only having all online sales, you can have some local sales through farmers markets. You can do workshops. You can have your online sales through, TikTok shop, whatever it is that you want to do. Just make sure that you are diversifying at least a few different types of income streams in your business so that you're not relying on just one way to make income. Okay, now let's talk about what I think is the worst part of running a candle business. And without a doubt, and this is funny, and this is almost kind of like, Erica, you're not even making the product anymore. But I see the demand of it because Chris makes all the product. So Chris is my husband. If you're new here, hello, my name is Erica. My husband's name is Chris. He does all of the production and fulfillment for Memory Box Candle Co. And it is a lot of work, especially if you are wanting to get into the wholesale side of things and really make a good income from it. It is pretty physically demanding. You need a decent amount of space. We recently moved into the master bedroom of our apartment. I really don't know the square footage of this room. I don't know if it's like a 12 by 13 or something like that. It's something like that, plus the bathroom, which is great. But it does take quite a bit of physical labor and time. It's not just the pouring of the candles. We all know that. Honestly, I feel like out of everything, the actual pouring process is the fastest part of the entire thing. It is the prepping the jars. So it's cleaning them out. It's putting the stickers on the wicks. So putting the sticker ends on the wicks. It's getting all of the jars wicked. It's putting on the wick holders, getting them all figured out, figuring out what you're making, pouring the fragrances, having the tanks heat up. That's like an 1.5 to 2 hour process most of the time, because we use the big DigiBoil tanks over here. But it's just very time consuming. So that is definitely something to keep in mind, that although there are a lot of benefits to it, you are physically manufacturing the product. So you do want to make sure that you account for that in the price of your product. The second one is that shipping is so expensive. I mean, I have been shipping online since back in my eBay days, back in 2017. And the price of shipping has gone up so much in these last 9 years. And it's just going up more and more. And we are shipping a physically heavy product. It's not a light product. So unless you're only shipping like wax melts or really light tin candles, it does tend to add up. So that is something to look into as well. Obviously, there's things like Pirate Ship and other places online to where you can get a little bit more of a discount, and you can, try to have shipping not be so crazy. But it is something to consider and think about. And again, that's also something to consider when it comes to pricing your products as well. So in the first point where I was talking about the best things about running your business, you can really create a brand that is going to have a higher perceived value. It's going to be a little bit more of a premium brand. And that way you can really kind of cut down on how badly the shipping cost feels. Because you're able to really still get a good profit margin. But yeah, shipping, not my favorite. The third thing that is not my favorite thing about running a candle business is that it does feel very seasonal sometimes. This year in particular, so I'm in 2026 right now if you're watching this later, from January to, I don't know, June, July, we start getting busy around July for the candle business because that's where wholesale really starts to pick up. We're in August right now, so we are headed into the next 4 best months of the year, which feels great. It does, but it's also one of those things that's like now that I know what January to June is going to feel like, it's just. It is challenging. And that's, I think, where you have to branch out on those different avenues of making income, getting reoccurring revenue through a subscription box, doing experiences through workshops. Those are great things that aren't necessarily only a seasonal thing. But candles, while they're not 100% seasonal, there is definitely way more going on and way more sales that happen towards the end of the year, towards, later Q3 and into Q4. That's really where the bulk of the sales come from. So that is kind of something to also think about as well. Obviously, people are able to live and have a business all year round, which is us over here, but it does get a little tight and it is a little challenging. The fourth thing is that although there is so much creative freedom, sometimes, and I gotta be honest, you guys, sometimes I've been doing this for 6+ years, and that creativity can feel not so exciting after a while. It's not like, ooh, I get to put together my fall collection. It's like, oh, what sense am I gonna do? Like, let me just figure it out. You know what I mean? It just becomes another thing that you're just trying to figure out. Which as an entrepreneur, if you know that, I feel like that's my motto. I'm like, what do I need to figure out? What am I trying to figure out? I'm just constantly trying to figure out things. So as much as in the beginning, it felt like this huge spark of just, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. As you are doing it more and more and more, it just becomes something that you have to just figure out and do and plan ahead, especially when it comes to seasonal things. I know a lot of people will do seasonal launches. So like, spring, summer, winter, fall launches. And I think that's great to do. But yeah, if you're constantly doing new scents for those launches, it can feel a little overwhelming, especially when you have to buy all the fragrance oil and test all the fragrances. And I'm not a huge fan of testing candles. I know that, I'm just not. Maybe that's not like a niche. Maybe that's not like an unpopular opinion. I just don't like candles in my house ever. The only time I ever have candles lit is in that bathroom and I can close the door and I don't have to be around these candles that are lit. I don't know if I've just turned into somebody who is just not a candle person in terms of like my own preferences. I would much rather have a wax melt going. When you're around it so much, the novelty and the excitement of it definitely goes down a little bit. I still understand why people love candles. Please keep buying candles, obviously. But just for me personally, I don't know, the creativity, the freedom of it, the structure, it can become a little bit more structured sometimes. Although I will say with the subscription box that we've been doing, that's been a lot of fun to be able to do. There have been more months that I've just been trying to figure it out and other months where I'm really excited about it. So it really just depends. But yeah, there's the ups and downs with creativity all over the place with the business. And the fifth point that I want to make in this video is that scaling can be challenging. If you want to scale a candle business, it's very hard to do that as a one-person show running the business. Obviously, I do have Chris helping me in the business. We're 2 people in the business, which is 1 person more than most of you watching this video most of the time. But if you're wanting to scale your candle business and you are the one manufacturing your product still, it can be very challenging because you have to then think about either doubling your workload or hiring employees. And then you have to think about, do I want them coming to my house to work? Is it going to even work out? Am I making enough money to be able to scale? If you guys watched the video that I did with Jeff Stanley a couple months back, that's kind of what we dove into in that topic, and how he basically recommends to stay as small as possible for as long as possible. And it's funny because I actually have heard that advice from a lot of business people online, because the moment you start to really expand, there's just a lot of other stressors that come into it. So we are kind of just at a place right now where we're just still in our apartment working, and it's kind of this limbo stage to where we're not making enough to be able to justify getting a house or getting a warehouse around here, because again, that would basically be doubling our rent. Who can afford to double their rent? So yeah, it's just one of those things where you have to think long term. If this is something that you really want to do that is going to sustain you and your family and you're wanting it to be full-time, you do have to think about that in regards to if you are going to be the one manufacturing your products. You do have to think about those limitations with scaling. But yeah, these are my thoughts on the best and worst parts of running a candle business. So if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to let me know. Leave a comment down below on on what you feel like is the best and the worst part of running a candle business. I don't know why I had like a weird way of saying the candle business. I don't know. But with that, I'm going to end today's video right here, and I will see you in the next one.